CSquared Show. My name is Clayton, and with me I have.
Carson, how are you, Clayton?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So we have some shit to talk about. It's gonna be about an
We
hour
do.
long, and
Hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. Who the fuck knows? So, do you want to start this off?
Yeah. So to begin with, this is going to be a show that we're just going to mess around with because we thought it'd be fun to make a podcast, and
Just throw
it's just
together
going
a
to be us like every
podcast.
week talking about news or something interesting that we find that week, and hopefully it'll be weekly. Hopefully we won't fuck up, but we might because
Fun
we're
fact:
people, we're
this is also
humans.
on YouTube, so watch us on
Oh.
YouTube. It's there
Yeah, go to our YouTube channel as well as follow our Twitter at Twitter's
on screen.
personally.
Okay, so our first story is about China and North Korea. Do you want to intro that?
Yes, so you actually brought this up to me the other day,
I did.
um, about how North Korea and China's trade got cut off,
Yes.
and I was very intrigued because I actually did a presentation for class on is North Korea a threat, and the big problem with them is they're advancing so fast, and it was due to North Korea, or not North Korea, China. The only reason why was because almost every other country had cut off trade with North Korea other than China. China was their main, you know, their main,
Partner. That's where they got all
yeah,
their shit. Everybody gets
yeah.
their shit from China. Who doesn't love some good old China shit?
But freaking, oh
Oh
Jesus, so
fuck, that's
I'm
awkward.
triggered.
Oh shit.
awkward.
Hold on. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, continue.
That was
Oh my
awesome.
god.
Someone-
Here, let
oh,
me tell her.
yeah. Okay, so basically they cut off almost. I think it was all trade, or
It was
almost all
all
trade.
trade. Well, I mean,
It was
I
all,
don't think it was like completely sudden. I think it might be over time, but I'm not
yeah.
completely sure on that. Let me read up a little bit. Um, I know after this, it appears Russia formed a trade deal with them, so
Yeah.
it's a little iffy. I don't know how you feel about that. What are your opinions on that?
I'm very happy about this, even though that Russia is still trading with um, North Korea. The fact is that Russia's GDP is going down drastically.
We killed
and
their currency.
we did kill their currency. And they can't produce as much as China can. So I'm very glad that China at least pulled out. Um, I'm perfectly happy with Russia.
Did you know
You know,
what
coming in.
North Korea's main export to China was?
I do not know actually.
Heroin.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's heroin. So that's interesting.
That is.
Regardless, I think it might be a problem. See, the thing is, Trump was like, "Hey, China, you better stop," and they did. But the thing is, a big part of like his campaign was it was always about China and Russia. So
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody feels about that, considering China has always been there. It's kind of like a big brother, little brother situation, and now it's just kind of like, hey, we're done with you. China's kind of done, and Russia's like this helping hand. And I think that may be a problem if there's ever a conflict. But I don't really know. I don't know how to think about this. I mean, I'm happy about it, but I don't know. It's kind of strange.
So yeah, according to New USA Today, which is the article I have pulled open, I think you have a different one open.
Yeah, I do. Just so we
yeah.
can get different opinions here.
Yeah, as China pulls, the title of the article is as China pulls trade from North Korea, Russia gets cozy with Kim Jong Un. And down, if they scroll down, if you scroll down a bit, there was I think I lost it. Where was the thing? There was a quote from Putin. Yeah, here it is. We need to return the dialogue with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, stop intimidating it, and find ways to solve these problems peacefully. That is a peaceful problem. That's like a peaceful way of
It's a very
resolving the
peaceful
problem.
statement for Putin, don't you think?
It
He's
is.
always this kind of blunt man.
He really is. But the other thing is like that we
Well,
much could
thanks
have
for
been
loading, sweet.
going
Oop.
in and shut.
I had an ad just play.
Um.
That's so awkward. Oh god. Do you want to move into a different Discord?
We can. Gamers
Oh, I
should
got it.
play.
I got it. There we go. Okay, no more interruptions.
Oh, there we go. I
And
forgot
I'm
about-
muting
okay.
all these tabs because I have ads playing. Okay,
my
you know what?
gosh.
It's fine now.
Okay, this is going somewhat abruptly, but
You
anyways,
know, it happens.
the it says it's offline for me. I don't know about you.
Really?
No, wait, hold on. It says
No, it's still
watching now.
going.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, Lowell posted something in chat. Okay, so the other thing is like we could have easily just started war with North Korea if we really wanted to and completely demolish them.
Yeah.
But this is a somewhat peaceful way of sort of saying like, "Yo, Korea, get your shit together," you know.
I don't know. I think it's a little strange, right? Don't you think it's such a weird time for Putin to be that helping hand, where
It
they're
really
you know they're shooting missiles into the Japanese territory, not into like their land, obviously, but shooting missiles into the Japanese Sea and talk about nuking America, and Russia's just here like, hey, you want to be friends? And obviously North Korea's like, hell yeah. So I don't know. It's a little strange. I don't want to say it's like I'm not trying to dig too deep into it. It might like obviously be him just trying to solve things peacefully, but he never seems to be that kind of person. I don't know about you,
yeah.
but I don't see him as the nice helping hand to solve things peacefully, especially what he's doing with Ukraine.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh,
That's a mess right there.
it really is. Um, but oh Jesus. Um, I'm just gonna say something. We discussed the other day. I think it also is like a sort of like a last helping hand to try and get Russia's economy back out of the dirt a little bit. Um,
I think another thing
but
is oh, keep going.
I think with the heroin coming in, that's not gonna be good for the country.
You know, it helped them. I think another thing is it might just be Russia realizing the problem that if someone goes to war with North Korea, they're gonna have to deal with it, considering North Korea is right there. And if you like think about it, with China no longer doing trade, there's nobody really talking to North Korea anymore. So I mean, it might just be Russia being like, "Oh guys, hold on, we have to keep talking to them." So I don't know. It seems it's a little strange. I am reading here though. 2015 coal was a big export. So I mean, at least they'll have more coal now, if that makes any sense. Like, I guess
But coal is becoming less and less relevant.
yeah, that's
Well,
true.
it'll
So
be
I
more
don't know what
important.
North Korea has to trade in the first place other than coal and heroin.
Um, I also read another thing. It says Russia and North Korea have reached a labor immigration agreement to
Ooh,
expand a program that already employs 40,000 North Korean laborers in Russia's timber and construction industries, which is a major source of foreign currency for Kim Jong Un's government, according to the Japanese newspaper
that's interesting.
Nihon Yazia, or whatever. I can't even say that. I butchered that. But apparently they're going to expand on that now. So that's where all their income is coming from, which is going to help both their economies. It's going to give Russia more workers, and it's going to give the North Korea more currency. Um,
I guess
but
it's a good thing all around now, isn't it?
yeah, but it's only Russian currency, is what it says. It says
Oh,
major source of foreign currency, so it's not their in-game currency.
oh
But
wow. Okay, that kind of. So it's
I
kind
mean,
of just
also,
Russia benefiting,
yeah, it's
really.
more mainly just Russia benefiting, and it's sort of giving Kim Jong Un like it's like you're in a mall, but you're only allowed to shop at one store. It's
Oh,
like
that's a good way to put it.
we're gonna give you these Amazon bucks, and
You
you
have
can
to think
only
like,
spend.
what do they want with Russian currency?
They're gonna buy things from Russia, basically. It's sort of a way of like saying,
Okay, wait, wait,
we're gonna
wait.
give you
So
Amazon
you're
bucks because you
giving
work here.
workers to Russia for Russia to make shit to sell
Basically,
back to you?
that's well, I mean, they have the resources to do it. North Korea really doesn't.
Oh, that's North Korea's getting
It's
fucked.
a weird conversation. North
Oh,
Korea
that's
is getting rich.
interesting. That's a
Um,
really bad trade deal. Here, take
oh,
our
hold on. Actually,
workers
it
and
says
then give us your money.
it also says that trade between Russia and North Korea increased by 73% during the 2 months of 20. So it wasn't. I'm not sure. I think this was fairly recent. Yeah, it was June 6th. So before China actually cut off all trade, Russia was still trying to bump it up with North Korea, and I'm guessing that's probably because Trump got elected
Yeah.
and Trump got in office at the very beginning of 2017, which would rise, you know, controversy between North Korea, China, and Russia, and all those different countries, and also showing that Trump really doesn't give a fuck by bombing Syria,
Oh, that's
and
another. Do you want to talk about that?
that is another topic. we I mean we can, but still, it's just there's a whole new thing going on.
Think that has anything to
Um,
deal with it? Because I know
it
that hurt
probably does.
Russia's opinion on us by a lot, and now they're just like, hey,
Russia's
hey,
not.
Korea.
Oh, we don't even get started on the freaking hackers. That's gonna be one. Um,
That's a strange story.
really is. Um, I guess while we're sort of in the middle of this, make sure if anyone is watching at all, make sure to go follow our Twitters. You can see up in the top left of the stream slash video. You know, you go follow those. Hopefully, this will become a great thing. Also, thank you. I think it's Spencer that was the one that did the
He did
profile.
do the art. Yeah, he did. He did
Thank
the
you for the art.
background art and the profile
Love it.
picture. Hey, Korea, they're pretty good at video games. No, that's South Korea.
But
You know, I feel like who does anyone else trade with them, or is it just Russia now? Do we know that?
it might be Russia. I can check that right now.
Hold on, googling it. Who trades with
Okay.
North Korea? See, because that's a big part of the story. Because if it's just Russia
Wikipedia.
at this point, okay. So in 2012, oh, they only did $4 billion in exports. Okay, this is interesting. So in 2012, 75% of their exports went to China, and most of that, obviously aside from the heroin, was petroleum. No, that was import. Main export was. They don't have it here. They just have their imports. Oh, minerals. Okay, so basically they just import all sorts of shit, right? They import or export iron, graphite, copper, and that was all to China. Singapore took a bit of it, and then Russia took 7%, and now they take that's their only trade partner, right?
Yeah, I think so. Right now is Russia.
So it went from China and Singapore just to Russia.
Well, I think whenever I did my research, it was only really just China. China was the main exporter to North Korea, and that was the main reason why they're advancing in their nuclear program, and that's the reason why they're becoming a threat. Um,
Yeah, and you can see that here. They imported
but
petroleum,
also,
machinery, textiles.
Putin also said a very weird thing. He said that on May 1st, that North Korea's recent missile launch was dangerous, and that Russia is categorically against the expansion of the club of states, according to Sputnik. But he also appeared to criticize U.S. policy toward Korea, marked by the U.S. military
Well,
near
I
North.
mean, we're very hostile towards North Korea. That's not a secret.
Well, we're not really hostile. We're sort of conservative.
Well, I mean,
We're,
realistically, we have the South Korean army and our a large amount of forces just waiting at their border, and every time they do something wrong, we're like, "Hey, have some sanctions." But don't forget our military is right there.
well, yeah, but I don't think we're like pushing them to go to
I
war.
think
We're
we're just
we're
the
just
first ones to
preparing for it.
condemn them. If you think about it, we're always
Yeah,
the first to say, "Hey, don't do that." I don't know. It's interesting. It's weird. Russia's trying to get goody goody with North Korea. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I'm happy that China doesn't do it anymore because I think that helped us a little bit considering that Trump was like, hey, don't do this. And China was like, okay. And the Chinese president's been over here a few times. It seems like they're friends if you ask me, which I'd be
yeah.
completely fine with. Anything else to say on this?
Um, it says that another possibility of why they're actually doing this is to increase trade and to increase this geopolitical influence in the world, which, I mean, it's not really putting itself in a good position for
No,
Russia.
it's
It's
really
not putting
not.
them in a good position, to try and get in good with other countries because a lot of other countries don't necessarily like North Korea. They think that they're a threat. That and we've also talked about this before about how this could possibly spark up World War III. Um, of course, a couple of years ago, it was like, oh, Afghanistan's gonna be World War III. Oh, it's gonna be Al Qaeda's World War. Now it's gonna be probably North Korea will be World War III if it gets out of hand. And it's the most likely scenario that I've seen that could possibly go nuclear
Yeah, for sure.
hot head. Um, so then we'd have to talk about, well, who's going to join what, and then who's going to be on whose side, and of course China's going to side with the United States, and
Yes,
Russia is
that's what
going
it
to
seems
have
like at least.
like Iraq, Syria, all of those Mideastern countries, um, backing him up, and then of course, well, my friend said, "Yo, well, what about NATO?" And I said, "Well, NATO. The thing about them is that a lot of people that sort of just want to stay out of it, don't really want to get involved in a lot of war issues, you know. And then it'll be really just the UK and the United States and China trying to
But isn't the thing about
play.
NATO is it's like a regulation rule that you have to go to war if one of your members does?
It is, but a lot of countries will back out.
So you're saying they just leave NATO?
They probably will, or they will just be like, we will cut off trade with the, but we're
Oh,
not
I
going
know
to
what you mean.
put in
Kind of like,
military force.
or they'll go to war technically.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's just not going to be good for the war. And the
Another thing I found
um
really interesting right here, Air China, which was the company doing all this trade because they'd fly trade goods from the capitals, right, back and forth.
yeah,
Apparently, they're not cutting all trade. It's just,
they're not cutting all trade.
okay, here's a quote. Air China did not stop operation of Beijing to Pyongyang route, but temporarily canceled some flights based on the situation of ticket sales.
Hmm.
Do you think that's just damage control, like a public statement, or
I
is it just under, or they're just trying to say, hey, we canceled trade, and then if you look deeper into it, it's like not really.
I I, I don't really know. It could be damage control. It could also be them trying to sort of distance themselves because they are in range of missiles, of course. So if really Kim Jong Un does get really pissed off, can China? But that'd just be a suicide mission.
Mm.
But that could be it. But I also remembered something. I saw a video. I think it was on Vox, which not sure, but there was a bridge between China and North Korea that was being built.
Okay.
And that was due to be finished either this year or the year like 2018. That actually got canceled. They
Oh,
cut off, all production of it. It was about halfway done, and it's just like going into a field. It's not even connected to China yet. It's just it starts in the middle of the strait, and then just sort of goes into a weird field. So that could have also been a sign that they're starting to back off trade with um that way.
that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if it's been out of production for a few years, it's kind of weird to just cut it off here. That makes
Yeah,
sense though. If they're really okay, so I think I think they really just kind of don't want to deal with Korea shit anymore.
they probably don't, and I think a lot of other countries that are involved will probably slow down.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Korea's a mess. They don't want to get involved in that shit.
Oh my gosh, Korea's a mess. So I think
Anything else to say about that?
I don't, but
Neither do I. So you want to just move on?
we can move on to the next topic. So our next topic, I think, you want to introduce this next topic?
Intel, as many of you have know, deal with high-powered or the high-end CPUs, right? And AMD has always been seen as this affordable, cheaper version. But you brought this to my attention, so you want
I
to
did.
continue a little bit?
So I saw a video by Jesus Sen sort of highlighting on this on how AMD could actually be a contender now for Intel and how Intel is starting to panic in a way of starting to sort of try and pump out those new CPUs, to try and stay in the game, stay the number one go-to for all this stuff. And I can actually look up the video. Um,
I'm looking at
but
just to like go with this. I'm looking at their stocks right now, and if we compare the two, I mean Intel, there's been a noticeable decline since 2000, right? And they're slowly starting to recover. But if you switch over to the AMD, it's kind of just going up.
AMD is definitely going up, especially with the launch of Ryzen.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's the series, right?
Ryzen is very affordable, very very good for content creators. CPU that sort of brought them back in the game. And then with the announcement of AMD's new CPU line Threadripper coming out at Computex 2017, Intel, it was what we've been theorizing, sort of shit their pants and sort of pulled up, new CPUs out of nowhere, trying to stay in the game with with Intel or with AMD. Sorry.
Well, Intel's also becoming kind of irrelevant if you think about it.
Yeah, because
There's really nothing they have over anyone else at this point. Like powered by Intel only gets you so far,
it really
especially when your CPUs are really. I mean, some of their high-end CPUs get quite expensive, and you compare these to AMD. Sure, you're not getting the performance, but I mean, for price, you're really
And
getting a cheaper option here.
Yeah, the big problem with AMD or Ryzen at the very beginning was lost my train of thought. Um, the big problem with them was the BIOS and like just there wasn't enough support for the Ryzen launch. The Ryzen CPUs were really really good. You know, the 1700, the 1800, 1600 are
Yeah.
really good CPUs. The problem is you couldn't really overclock them as much as you could an Intel system, and that was mainly because of BIOS and just compatibility with the other components. But now that that's actually like enabled to thrive now with better overclocking with less power consumption and better performance than AMD's ever shown before, they're really becoming the new top go-to for people. Like I have an AMD system right now, and it's not the best. It's a really old AMD system, laptop. Um, but this new, I would definitely go with the new AMD one.
I have an interesting statistic here. Um,
Ooh,
okay, so if you're looking at the Ryzen series, there was when they launched, it was three tiers, right?
right.
The 1800X, 1700X, and the 700 or 1700. And if you look at the Ryzen 7 1800X, it performs 9% better than an Intel i9 or 6900K. And the price comparison between those is $500 for the Ryzen CPU compared to $1,100 for the Intel CPU. And the Ryzen CPU is 10% better for less
Ryzen
than
is
half the
definitely,
price.
yeah,
And across the board, all three tiers perform significantly better. Like, hold on, I'm trying to figure out how I could show this on stream. I don't really know how. All three base tiers perform better than their Intel counterparts while still being significantly cheaper.
yeah. That was the main boost for AMD was that they're bringing a CPU as powerful, if not more powerful, than the top i7 core CPUs that Intel is coming out that are like $1,000, but they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing in around $450 to $500.
Yeah.
These really affordable, high end components, and even I think I'm not even sure what the 1600X was, Ryzen
Oh, I'm just
1600
looking at their three
1600X.
base tiers here.
But the Ryzen 1600X CPU was around $250, which
That's
is
even
not that
cheaper.
bad.
It's really not, especially because people are. I don't know if you know this, but the PC industry is really booming right now. People are
Oh
starting to
yes,
build PCs, and not a lot of people have this potential to go and buy a $1,100 Intel processor when you can just get the same thing for half the price. So I mean, it really puts AMD in the competitive space because usually, I mean, prior to these, it's kind of just been personal preference and they were really
yeah.
just kind of the same thing aside from price and basic performance differences. But this is really interesting. I don't know.
It's
I think
it
Intel's really
really
going to panic because developing a
they are
processor, you can't do that over a night. So I mean, they're
because
going to have to develop something which can
in
compete here.
At Computex 2017, they were announcing their CPUs, and they had this whole lineup, their new X series, their new X CPU series, and they're theorized that there was three CPUs added out the gate. There was an 18 core, um, I think a 16 core, and a 24 core CPU. All
Oh, a
those three
24
cores were
core
used.
CPU sounds awesome.
It, but that 24 core CPU costed you around $3,000, I
It's a
believe.
lot of money that I don't
It
have
was
to
either
spend
two
on a
thousand or
CPU.
three. Yes, it was a lot of money. So they basically shit themselves, and there was talk about certain companies that said we were only told about the first couple. We weren't told about those last three. Those were only the ones
Oh,
told about, and it's theorized that Intel sort of saw the Threadripper announcement from AMD at Computex and threw something together, saying, "Well, we'll just put this many cores and this many threads on the CPU, you know, and sort of throw it out at someone
yeah.
just to try and stay in the game." Um, I can actually look this up right now. Intel Core
You know, I don't
X.
really know. I'm not a huge Intel fan. They're not. I feel like you're definitely overpaying for their shit, and I think AMD is really starting to show that. Because if you really think about it, the amount of processing power you're getting, it doesn't like, it doesn't seem like you're really getting a good deal here. And I don't know, their stocks are showing it. They're really dropping down here. Trying to figure
Another
out
thing,
how to get this graph. Hold on. Keep talking.
another thing we can actually talk about, if you wanted to, is the new crisis with cryptocurrency. How graphics cards are actually coming back in We went from CPUs to graphics cards to something I really don't understand, and then we went back to graphics cards. That's another thing we can talk about real quick, if you would like.
Oh, I don't know much about that, so educate me.
So, well, basically, cryptocurrency like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's this coin or a little coin
Well, it's not a
that
real coin, but yeah.
it's not. It's all internet provided. There's no government behind. There's no bank. It's just there's
It's
a
a free
website
currency.
that called So, and basically, it's a way to have direct contact between you and the producer. So let's say I wanted to buy a pancake Carson. So I would my Bitcoin account. I'd send it over to Carson. I'd send over, let's say, 1 Bitcoin, which is a lot for
It's a lot
you'll
of money.
understand.
Those are like $300-$400.
I think it's up to like
Oh, it's
1,000. I
higher
think it's
now.
almost
Yeah, it's a lot higher now.
it's like I think almost the $3,000 per Bitcoin. It's in, but then a person that has a really specialized computer that are called miners would sort of like log that transaction between me and you, and so basically what they do is they say there's this new transaction going out. They send out a number, big freaking number, insanely giant number that
Well, that's another
approximately
problem with Bitcoins. We won't talk about it now, but the number is getting so large that
it's becoming increasingly hard to
yeah, it's
actually.
getting to the point where you have to buy hundreds of dollars worth of software just to decrypt this number or find the number. Which I'm not gonna go into, like, you know how all that shit works, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So they find the total computing power of all of these
Yep.
systems that client connected to Bitcoin, trying to figure out those and log those um, transactions. So they'll send out this number, and it is supposed to take approximately 10 seconds total computing power, in the whole network to
Mhm.
calculate. And if you're the one that gets to calculate it, then you get, I think it's 12.5 Bitcoins.
Does it
I think that's what
change,
it
or
is.
is that
Yeah,
set?
it changes frequently. So at the very beginning it was 25 Bitcoins, and then now it's 12 Bitcoins. With I think let me see, Bitcoin.
And that's how new currency is generated.
Yeah, that's how new current generate, or you can buy them. Bitcoin
Yeah, but that's no fun.
price. Well, even some stores are starting to, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've
almost
seen we accept Bitcoins at like literal
yeah,
stores. I'm like, whoa. Or
but
like on websites and shit.
the the Bitcoin right now is almost at $3,000 in
Damn.
United States currency. Um, so if you only encode one of those those transactions, which would be really hard because there's a lot of CPU
Yep,
packages.
it's
But that's
difficult.
$36,000 right off the bat get just for doing it.
You could
And
also, I've heard about strategies where you get a team of people, and if you get it,
yes,
you split that.
those are called pools.
Yep.
So with that, you just put your processing power together, and then if one of you finds it, then you split it among everyone equally, well, not equally, depending on how much processing power I have. So like
Yeah, it's a variable.
let's say I have 8% processing, and someone else has 4% processing power. If we get those, if me and him are in a pool and we get those Bitcoin, we calculate the transaction, the person that has the 8% big power bit processing power would get around 8 Bitcoins, and then the one that had 4% processing power would get around 4.
Yeah,
It would split among percenting the processing power. And of course, that gets smaller, depending on how many.
especially because these pools get rather large.
Oh, there's whole websites that
It's insane.
but now they've gone back to a ride-on series because they're such lower power consumed and work efficiently price that they're at. So I found that very interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. Intel's really gonna have to change. They're gonna have to step up their shit. um, I don't know what else to say about that. AMD's a growing problem for them.
It really is.
Especially because I don't know if Nvidia's ever talked about it, but if they wanted to make CPUs, I think they're in a good place too. If you look at
They really
their stocks, their company is booming right now.
their company is exponentially.
It's doubled. What is it? 4? No, it's doubled 7 times, and it's six times actually within the last year. So I mean, if they wanted to do something, I'm sure they'd happily be welcomed into the party.
They are definitely they around mid 2015, the late 2016, they really started booming this year.
I think it was the announcement of the 10 series.
It really could. I'm not really sure when did series.
It was when they started booming. It was May of last year, I believe. It
Right.
was early last year, which is when they started the exponential growth. So yeah, I mean, I think
Well, I'm wondering because if you look on the stock, the maximum
yeah.
thing, you can see these little bumps, and I'm wondering if those are the introduction of the 700 series and the 900 series.
That's what I'm assuming.
Um, September 2014. So actually, no.
No, that would be the 900 would be actually that's a
900
great
is 20,
question. I don't know where that is on here.
900 is 2014. So maybe that's the 700 series.
Yeah, probably cuz that's when they really took off. No, they took off in 2007, so I don't really know honestly.
Yeah, but the 700 series in 2000, I don't really know.
Mm.
But definitely, it was probably because of the boom with the new Titans and the.
Oh yeah, what they're doing with graphics cards, it's insane. Processing power. I mean, it's expensive. They're higher end PCs, but they sell a mini supercomputer,
Really?
$50,000, and it's like the size. It can like fit in your hand. It's insane. It's on their website, but you can't buy one. You have to be a company.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, AMD problem. I don't really care
AMD.
about it. It's always better for the consumer to have competition. If Intel
Oh,
dies, I mean, so be it. We don't really need them anymore.
Intel's been at the top of the race for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's never good to have a company at the top forever.
They're
Because
definitely gonna try and keep the maximum CPU.
I don't know. I think they definitely have it, especially because they're 10 to 15 times larger than AMD and like money wise and company in general. So they definitely have a lot more space to do things. I just think they've never needed to evolve, so they really haven't. And I think now it's going to pressure them, and hopefully it'll generate better CPUs for the consumer.
Oh yes, it definitely. Well, I mean, it definitely is. Showing that Intel sort of shit their pants
And just like
randomly,
fuck, we forgot about AMD.
randomly throughout those three CPUs. It's going to be really consumer, both Ryzen and competing for the spot. And it's become like for my PC. Talked about it a bit. Finally ordered my Intel Core i5, you know, 6600K. I think that's already here.
Oh,
Dad's house.
that's
Um,
exciting.
Built that over the weekend. Um, but now it's like, well, now should I switch to AMD? Should I just get a 1600X
Honestly,
from AMD from Ryzen? Because it's
honestly, maybe.
that might be the next system I build is a Ryzen or Threadripper based system, and it's completely viable now. Someone
Yeah,
came
I
out
mean,
and
if you're looking at the CPU I have, I paid $400 for my CPU, and these new cards that are not cards, CPUs AMD are coming out with will just shit on my CPU, and it's only $50 to $100 more. I mean, like, what's stopping me from going out and just saying buy Intel? I mean, there's really no
exactly.
incentives to stick to Intel anymore.
I mean, but if you said 2 years ago, yeah, I'm gonna make an AMD system,
Oh
people would
yeah,
think
people would be like,
crazy.
what the fuck? How poor are you?
They would, of course, there was a starting CPU that was from the, I think it was a go-to CPU for a while, um, until Intel sort of stepped up and put out the i5, i6, 7, and stuff like that.
Especially because AMD are starting to get into they're starting to really nail the graphics card business. They're not really taken away from Nvidia as we've seen just
Oh
looking at
yeah,
Nvidia's stock, but they have some cards, and if you SLI them, they're equivalent to a 1070 with being like $50 to $100 lower. So I mean, I don't know. I think it's a good thing, but I don't really know if it's to the point where you would go out and just say fuck you Nvidia, fuck you Intel, and just go buy an AMD.
yeah. I'm looking at AMD stock right now. Actually,
It's
it's
not really moving, for being completely honest.
slowly going up, but it's also slowly going down.
Yeah,
I think
compare that to Nvidia and Intel, and it's I mean it's shit, for being
yeah.
completely honest.
But if you look at the stock, if you go and look at the stock at AMD, I mean, we can't really show it right now on the stream or on the podcast,
Hopefully
but
by next time we do this, I'll have
we'll be
the
able to do that.
web pages up, and we can do that.
But if you look at it around 2000, maybe around
Oh, I
2006 or
see that.
2007, they had a spike, and that's like sort of when they were main dominant. And then sort of around 2005, after that, it got up a bit, and then it's sort of going down. probably from Intel. And if I look at Intel stock, um, around 2000, they also boomed the business. So 2000 was like the year for computers. Really.
Yeah,
But
it
then
really. That's when computers
they
boomed, especially
they sort
because
of
with the everyone was afraid that with the 2000, 2001 or 19, what was it? You remember people were afraid to the transition to the year
yeah
2000. That
they,
really, I
they,
mean, if you look at it, that really grew attention to the PCs.
that actually will happen though eventually. In the year 10,000, that will
Oh
actually
yeah,
happen.
but we're not like there.
Oh, we're not there. We're not even.
We're
So
not
we
even.
might be
We
up
be. I mean,
there.
we might not be dead because apparently they're getting close to figuring out how to make stem cells. Not well. That's a different topic. We're close to living forever, but we're not quite there yet. But a different topic. I don't know. It's interesting. I
It really
think
is.
if you're an AMD investor from 2015, then you're probably really happy, just considering that their stock has gone up 10 times. But I don't know. It's only good for the consumer.
Yeah.
I wish I bought AMD stock in 2015.
Oh man, I wish I had bought Intel in like 1999.
Oh
Ooh,
my god! But even better though,
or
if you took $1,000 and bought as many AMD shares if you could, and you sold that right now, you'd make $14,000,
that's it's pretty insane. Oh,
and that feeds into the free market. But that's another topic too. You have anything else to comment or go off of?
not really. This next topic though, I think you're gonna have more incentive on because I didn't really play much of Battlefront, but I think we're gonna get into E3 stuff, like
Yes, we are.
announcements.
E3 started today, which is exciting, and I still didn't go because I'm poor. But anyways, so for those of you keeping up with the video games, what's its name? What is the company? EA had made Battlefront 1. What was it? 2015, I think.
I think so, yeah.
And they promised all this shit. The game came out and it was basically just it was a piece of shit, really.
It was
It's
bad.
to the point where if you pay for their $5 Origin subscription, they have like a monthly fee. You can get that game just for free, and it's $5 a month to play that shit. And that game's only 2 years old. And if you go on Steam and compare that to like a good 2-year-old game, you're still paying $60 for it. But point being, they know it's shit. We know it's shit. And they came out on I think it was a few months ago, and they're like, "Hey, we're making Battlefront 2. It's gonna be better." And now they showed it off today, and apparently it's fixing all the problems. I don't know. Have you seen the gameplay yet?
I have not actually.
Okay, well you know what Battlefield looks like, right?
Oh yes,
Okay,
yes.
well it's like that but prettier, and then it crosses all of the forms of the Star Wars. I guess you want to say universe, really. The
Mhm.
major eras like the Clone Wars, the all that kind of shit. Like I don't know what the current era is with like the Empire and all that fucking shit, but you know what? I don't know. I don't know really to go off of this. I'm just think it's interesting how they're saying we're gonna fix all this shit, and then they came out presenting all this footage, and they really do seem to be fixing everything. Like space battles are here now. There's a lot more customization between everything. It's no longer just like they're fixing all the vehicle spawns, so it's no longer just like, oh, you pick up a token. It's just a lot of gameplay fixes, which I think will make a better game in general. Did you play the first one at all?
I played it a bit in the um I when I got in, I immediately got confused though. I didn't really know what to do.
It was a really weird game.
It really was.
I think the problem was they spent so much money on the photogrammetry that they forgot to develop a game. Um so yeah, I mean they made another one. I mean it looks pretty. You
I'm
should
actually.
you should watch it after this. You should watch the
Oh,
footage. It looks great.
I probably will. I'm looking at an article by The Verge about the top biggest announcements at E3 this year, and I saw some interesting things. Madden NFL gets its first story mode.
How the fuck you make a story mode on a
I
Madden?
I don't really know. It maybe could be just like maybe a big year in football that they're gonna try and recreate in the
Madden
game.
and FIFA are really they're a big thing if you think about it. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't have some sort of ghetto story mode to begin with.
I am too, and also Need for Speed Payback is going full Fast and Furious apparently.
What the
The
fuck?
headline. So I didn't even know there's a new Need for Speed game coming out.
Are those still a thing?
Yeah, but
Apparently.
yeah. So this is a quote from it. Prepare yourself for explosions, family, and stilted dialogue, Need for Speed has been edging closer and closer to the Fast and Furious franchise over the years, but it's the first game to go fragrant capture the vibe of blockbuster series. So I guess now they're trying to like fully make their game like Fast and
Wait,
Furious,
wait,
which I
wait.
just
Is
want to
this
go
gonna be the first movie turned video game?
maybe in a
Have
way
we ever had a movie turn into a video game?
Battlefront.
Oh fuck! Oh my god! No, but we've had those before. Those are based on the universe. This is like the movies itself. Like, because there's been old
No,
Battlefront games, and those were just
it's not.
based in the Star Wars universe.
It's not gonna be like, full on like, oh well, you have to do this mission because it was in,
Could you imagine that? Okay, it's time
um,
for Paul Walker to die.
yeah, it's like you're about to die because you're Paul Walker and you chose
Oh
him to
my
be.
god.
Now your game is over.
He's actually dead.
Poor,
Oh
Rip
my
Paul.
god.
I love.
Rip Paul Walker. He was a cool guy.
He was really cool.
Do you
guy,
ever
but I
watch
think,
the Fast and Furious movies?
oh, I love the Fast and Furious
I've seen the first few. I started at like 5.
The problem is it's I think it's the director's Michael Bay, which is kind of hard.
Michael Bay's such a joke.
Hold on, I'm actually right now. Director of Fast and
You just Google the movie, they should pop up with the director. I know they started as racing movies, but now they're really like action movies if you think about it.
Furious. Directors Vin Diesel. Oh, Vin Diesel's the.
Vin Diesel directs that shit?
I guess.
Okay, so here's a question to pose for you. If this turns out well, and they make because I don't know if you're into racing games, but have you ever played the Need for Speed games?
Oh, I love Need for Speed.
Okay.
I played Need for Speed Rivals mainly. That's the one I got really into.
So if they pull this off and they make it fun while also keeping to the Fast and Furious vibe, do you think there's going to be like a shit ton of other games that follow this and try to make do you think there's going to be more Transformers games or like movies that just or games that follow movie concepts? Because I don't know about you, but I'd kind of love to see an Independence Day game.
I would love that game or something, horror game, horror films.
Oh my god, could you imagine like a Conjuring game?
Wow, but stuff like that. It could definitely be, I think Need for Speed is, or not Need, yeah, Need for Speed is sort of setting the stage. We should start becoming, maybe we should give these people the experience of actually being in the movies because that's like what a lot of kids do. I don't know about you, but I was a little kid. And I went and saw, Star Wars. I would pretend like I had a lightsaber.
Right? I'd be like, wow, I want to be in that.
And then giving them that, thing where you can customize your own Jedi and or you can choose a Sith, you can customize your own Sith, get your own, lightsaber, customize that. And just being thrown into a world and, you're the responsible for stopping evil. That would be really interesting.
I mean, if we look more into it, this might be thinking too far, but it might correlate with the fact that movie sales in general are going down. Like if you account for inflation, games, not games, but movies are slowly making less and less money, and the fact that video games are just going up, it might be a way for them to be like, hey, we also have a video game, go buy that and give us more money, because the movie industry is all about money, really, if you think about it. I mean, it's all money. So I mean, it might be a backhanded move because I know some games are based on franchises and all the franchise shit is locked behind like a DLC paywall and shit. So that'd be interesting to play like a what's it called, Need for Speed, or what is that, the game series?
Yeah, Need for Speed.
Need for Speed, and then be like, hey, play as Vin Diesel for $3 and buy our season pass where you get to play as Paul Walker. I mean, that would kind of suck.
That would, yeah, but
I hope it doesn't get to that point.
I couldn't see. I honestly can't see anything right now. Any other really big events that were announced right now? I know Blizzard's not going to be there.
Blizzard holds their own thing. They
BlizzCon.
They held BlizzCon, yeah. BlizzCon's always exciting.
But I remember though there was, what? Come on, Terry Crews. That's his name. Terry Crews said that he has an announcement for, I of course I love Jay Susense, but in a Jay Susense video he said, or not actually, in his own Facebook video I think it was, he said that there's gonna be an announcement at E3, just a really big surprise, and that's what I'm sort of like waiting for right now.
Did you hear what BioWare is working on? Project Dylan?
Dylan.
You heard about that? If you look
No.
back, you're gonna have to watch it after this, but they have like I think it was 2014 or 2015 E3 trailer, and it's just like, it's like what happens when people dream, and it's a bunch of like nightmares as their trailer, and apparently because they make the Dragon Age Inquisition games, or not Inquisition, they just make the Dragon Age games, and I think that's all they've made. They made BioShock, but apparently they have a really big announcement. I guess we're just gonna have to wait for that. I don't know how
You
long
know,
E3 is,
that's
but
actually an interesting
it's gonna show
concept.
up.
I personally like to see a game where all it is just like it's a puzzle game, but you're thrown into a world that's randomly generated that has a problem, and you have to solve that problem. And it's
Oh,
like
that
sort
would
of like
be
a dream.
interesting.
So like I'd be thrown into a world, physics would be out of whack. There wasn't really any gravity, or gravity went up instead of down, stuff like that. Um, and there's a problem, and you have to try and fix that depending on physics, and you have to try and use the physics that you've been told and given, just observed, to solve the problem. Like, oh, okay, I got to get out of this, hotel. Well, doors are sideways. They
That'd be an
only,
interesting concept.
that might be interesting.
You heard of Death Standing?
Death Standing. No, I
Yeah,
have not.
you know who Hideo Kojima is?
No.
Okay, well, let me tell you, he did a lot of shit. Go ahead and Google him real quick. Just his
What's
name, Hideo Kojima. He like made games, pretty much. If we're being 100% honest with ourselves, let me get you a list. He's made
Oh, he's
all
made
the
Metal
Metal
Gear
Gear
Solid.
Solid games, and
Okay.
before that, he helped really bring the video games kind of into the light. Especially because if you think about it, not so much anymore. It's still popular, but Metal Gear was a really big part of the shooter genre. So he kind of, you know who Konami is? The company.
Konami.
Okay, well they make Metal Gear Solid, and he really brought them in here. And back in 2014, he was kicked from Konami. They won't. He left, but if you look into it, basically they didn't want him there, so he was kind of kicked out. And he went out on his own. He made his own game called Death Standing. And the most interesting part is, in the first trailer for it, the guy from The Walking Dead was there. What's his name? The guy Daryl from The Walking Dead is in the trailer. Just go ahead and Google the game. It's really interesting.
I see.
Apparently,
Yeah, Death
it's not going to
Stranding
be at
won't
E3 though, so that's
So
interesting.
Hideo Kojima drops a new tease. So that's 3 days ago. 2 days
Yeah.
ago, Death Stranding won't. Yeah, that's interesting. What is the game about?
That's the thing. Nobody knows. It's just like, it's like, the name is all that we really know. There was like a basic trailer, and it was this guy, and he's in this world, and there's like weird creatures everywhere. If you look in the Discord real quick, I'll pop this picture in there. That's a model used in that trailer. So it's really just, it's a bunch of shit covered in like organs, and it looks really freaky. I don't know. Everyone was hoping it'd be at E3, but I guess not anymore.
Yeah.
If we're talking about E3 news, that's a major thing right there, because a lot of people knew who he was, but after he got kicked from Konami, it was like, whoa. So,
or became more relevant.
oh yeah, here's a big deal. Konami, they're kind of dead now, for being completely honest. They make gambling machines in Japan, and that's all they do now. So no,
Wow.
that's interesting if we're talking about E3 news.
I don't really think there's, you have any more to say on the E3 news or anything else we
I
talked about
honestly
today?
don't think so. I mean, is there any games you're hoping be announced in E3? Anything you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to that Terry Crews announcement. I would like to hear more about Destiny 2.
Oh, that's a good one.
If they're gonna be here, and then more about the Call of Duty game that's coming out. Is
Yeah,
that
that's intriguing.
the new Call of Duty? I think it was World at War. The new one.
World
II,
War
I think it
II,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be actually interesting, and that might bring a lot of people back into Call of Duty because they're going back to their roots.
You know,
back
I
to the
say it like
war.
every year, but every year I'm like, this is the last Call of Duty I buy. And this is like
Yeah.
the first one in years that I've actually been excited to go buy. Because usually it's like, okay, I'm sorry, Activision, I'm going to give you more money, but just simply because I want to see what you fucked up this time. And now it's kind of like, I actually want to play this.
It does look very, very interesting.
It actually, if you like look at the graphics, like it doesn't suck either. It looks a lot like a Battlefield game, if I'm being 100% honest. It looks like a Battlefield game. The maps are getting extremely large like a Battlefield game.
Oh yes.
We're assuming there's gonna be vehicles because it's not the first time there's been like tanks and shit in a COD game. So I mean, it's really gonna be. I think a lot of people are gonna compare it to Battlefield One, right? Is that what Battlefield
Yeah,
One,
Battlefield
World
1
War
was
One, whatever the fuck you want to call it? So
yeah.
no, I think that might be a problem for Call of Duty, but I'm gonna buy it.
Those are the main ones. What are there anything that you're excited for to see at E3?
Honestly, that's you covered it. I want to see Bungie there. I want to
Ooh,
see Call of Duty there, and I think that's really it. I mean, everybody else has their own conventions usually. Think about it.
they
Blizzard
really
has
do.
their own
Yeah.
convention. There's other game conventions people make
There
announcements
was
at.
there was a new. Hold on.
Oh, there is one thing. I want to see Total War there
Oh,
because they're making a comeback. So I want to see them there. I know they have a playable game demo there, and sadly we're not there to play it, but I wish I was. So
there
I
was
want to see that.
apparently going to be a new Pokemon game.
Oh, I
Well,
heard about that.
I know there's Sun and Moon 2 coming out. Um,
I heard.
Pokemon Direct.
Yeah, is that
This is
confirmed or is that still a rumor?
I think it's confirmed because I see it's on the official Nintendo site. Pokemon Direct announced via Pokemon games announced via Pokemon Direct. Today's Pokemon Direct presentation.
Oh, is that just a thing?
I don't even know.
I know. I think I heard about what you're talking about though.
But there's a whole bunch of new stuff that's about. And maybe we can learn more about that.
I know they
At
said they're not
E3.
making a game for the Switch,
Yeah, I don't think they're making a game.
which
for
kind
Pokemon.
of pisses me off.
That's what I think a lot of people are mad about. Is because that they were given this new platform like, oh, now you can make an open world Pokemon game.
Right? There's so much more you can do on a Switch, especially just because like a 3DS isn't a very powerful thing. And I mean, sure, Pokemon games are starting to look better, but if you really wanted to, you can finally get away from the pixel art and be a really nice evolution there. But nope, no Pokemon on the Switch.
Yeah, which is really sad. I wanted to switch,
I have a
but
Switch.
there's just I don't think there's enough content on it right now.
Yeah, if I'm being 100% honest, I only really play Zelda and Mario Kart. There's not much
Yeah,
else.
those are the two big ones that are coming out.
Especially
Um,
because, none of the major series are coming out on the Switch. Everyone's kind of backed out of it. There's a FIFA, but that's about it. Skyrim eventually, but there's no COD, there's no shooters, and those are you can't deny it. That's the biggest genre.
that's one of the biggest genres. Yeah.
It is the biggest genre. There's no major RPGs besides for Skyrim, which is a 5-year-old game.
The new Morrowind.
Oh,
Elder Scrolls
for
Online
ESO.
Morrowind. Yeah, that looked interesting.
I've tried ESO. I couldn't get into it. I really couldn't.
I hope they make it better than the original ESO. I have seen gameplay from it. It's okay. I
Is
like
it
the
a
content they're
sequel
going
or
through.
expansion?
I don't know. I honestly don't even know.
Who the fuck knows?
Elder Scrolls.
It's already out though, right? I believe it's out.
It's coming out soon. I think it's coming out.
No, it is
Really?
out.
It
It
out.
launched 4 days
Expansion?
ago. It is an expansion. Okay, so it's an expansion.
So it's probably not going to be better than. Okay, well that's kind of sad.
Sadly, it's probably not going to be a major improvement.
But we are in line for another Elder Scrolls game. That's what I'm excited
That
about.
we are. I know. Sadly, Bethesda said it's not going to happen anytime soon, though.
I'm just hoping for the announcement of a new game because I thoroughly enjoyed Skyrim. I don't think you're that big of a fan of Skyrim.
I couldn't get into it. I really couldn't.
Yeah. But I thoroughly enjoyed Skyrim. I begged my parents for years to let me play it because when it
I'm
came
like-
out, I was like 9 or 10.
I'm like a really big graphics person. Like, if it needs to look pretty, and that they were like, "Hey, you could play Skyrim or you could play The Witcher." I was like, "Why the fuck would I play Skyrim?" So I don't know. I'm a Witcher bitch, but never got into the Elder Scrolls.
I personally love Elder Scrolls. I'm excited to.
Riley plays it
Figure
all
out
the
what's
time.
going on.
Her and Spencer just continue putting hours into it. And it's a 5-year-old game, and I'm like, "What the fuck? What are you doing? Why are you playing this game? It's 5 years old."
I think I have almost 100 hours on that game, if not more.
Total War Warhammer came out last year, and I have 220 hours on it.
Wow.
Let me check that actually.
Is there anything else that? you
Correction,
wanna
I have 400 hours on Total
Oh,
War
God.
Warhammer. Yes, the sequel's there. That's all I'm really caring about at E3.
Yeah. The other thing was GTA. was getting some
Oh,
updates as well. That there was a lot of rumors coming out that they were going to stop support for GTA 5 this year, but it's bringing in so much money that they're really not. They're probably going to try and drag that out as much until they are forced to make a
Oh
GTA
yeah. Oh
6.
hell yeah. I mean, why would you make a new game? Like, there's no need.
They
Red
just
Dead
keep
will
that.
satisfy people. I don't think you need to make another game right now.
Oh yes, Red Dead do it
Especially
excellent.
because I heard some wild statistic a while back that it's making them $1 million a day, and it
It's
continues to
so
grow in popularity. Like, it's not shrinking.
it's really not.
So I don't know. That's interesting.
I feel like I covered everything that I want to talk about today in this
Yeah,
very first
I think we're good. This lasted 55 minutes, so
55 only.
yeah, we had
It,
some hiccups, but
it felt like it went for 2 hours.
no, only 55 minutes.
Well, that's a good time. We made it to where we wanted
We
to
aim
around
for
the time.
about an hour,
Yeah,
especially
at
because
least
this was kind of we weren't really prepared. I'd like to have more stories, if possible,
yeah.
and have
I,
more
I
precise. But
yeah, I feel like
it's
three
okay.
topics maybe just a little bit
So
too.
just a little bit, but I don't know. Anything
We
else
could
you want to talk about real quick?
uh, not really that I know of.
Do you have any plans for next week's show, or are you just gonna we just gonna go by ear?
Um, I I don't really know. I feel like we should base or like look at how this went, and then we could get
I
those things
think
out.
next week there's definitely gonna be an E3, more about E3
Oh,
there,
more E3.
just
Yes,
because
definitely.
today was the first day. Um, so yeah, I think we're gonna do this weekly, right?
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, and this will be live tomorrow at 9 a.m. on YouTube if you would like to
Yes,
watch it again.
watch it again on YouTube. Or if you want to tell someone else, like, yo, our freaking friends, or I found this podcast, go watch it. And, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go ahead. Follow us on Twitter. Follow this. More importantly, follow the show before you follow us. Follow the
Oh,
podcast Twitter. We do have a SoundCloud. I don't know if all that shit is linked on the Twitch yet, but
well, we're going to figure out the
yeah,
SoundCloud
the
later.
SoundCloud's a work in progress, but it's there. I mean, it exists.
I hope you guys enjoyed
Yeah,
podcast. If you haven't, go ahead and follow that show Twitter. If you want, follow our personal Twitters.
yeah. Those are just kind of there so you know who we are.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then just follow the stream.
Yeah.
And hopefully we see you next week. Hope to see more people next week. Well, thank you so much for sticking with
Yeah,
us. And
Lowell's been here the entire time.
Lowell the champ.
Yeah, shout out to Lowell. Shout out to Spencer for making the art.
Yes, shout out to Spencer.
It was really cheap too. It was cost me under $5. I'm satisfied.
I am too.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. This is the CSquared Project signing out.